I didn't realize it was going to be this hard. It's been 10 years. We named our daughter Ellie. My wife and I were watching this French movie, and sorry, and there was a character in the movie named Ellie. And when the movie was over, my wife said, "If we ever have a daughter, let's name her Ellie." And I said, "Of course. I love that name." My wife and I had trouble having kids. So after 12 years of marriage, we decided to adopt. And that's how we got Jake. And then a couple years later, we got Darren. I always wanted a girl. We got the boys at birth. Actually, my wife was in the delivery room for both of them. We got to take them home from the hospital. But it was different with Ellie. She went into foster care when she was 5 months old. And she was in foster care for about 8 months when we got a call from our social worker. And she told us a little bit about Ellie and sent us her file. And Ellie was born with a liver disease. It's called biliary atresia, and it's genetic. She was born with it, but anybody with biliary atresia has to have a liver transplant. So they told us this up front. There was going to be lots of doctor's appointments, and because she was in foster care, we were going to have to do visitations with the birth mom. It's just not fair, you know. So many people can just get pregnant, have babies, and then even think about what people like my wife and I go through not being able to have our own biological children. My wife is a great mother. She was born to be a mother. So I don't understand why we couldn't just have our own kids. People tell us, "Oh, you guys are saints, you adopt, and you gave homes to these kids," but it's so hard. Anyway, my wife was a stay-at-home mom. Well, she's still a stay-at-home mom, but she was a stay-at-home mom, so she was the one that always had to do the visitations. And it was really hard on her. Actually, when Ellie was born, her name was Robin. We changed it immediately. And we went to court and got to legally adopt her. And then after we had her for about 2.5 years, we had a call from UCLA Medical Center. That's where all her doctor's appointments were, and that's where she was going to have the liver transplant. And they told us that they had a liver for her. So I took her in. My wife stayed home with the boys, and they prepped her, and they did the transplant. It took like 15 hours, and shortly after the transplant was done, they gave us a call and they said, They said it didn't take, and they gave us a choice. They said we could come in and say goodbye to her, or they could look for another liver. And they told us that she would live for 3 days without a liver. And if they didn't find one within 3 days, that was it. And we told them, without question, we told them, look for a liver. You got to find a liver for my baby. And it was less than a day later, they found a liver and they did a second transplant. And this one worked. At least we thought it worked. She was okay for about 2.5 months. I basically lived in the hospital. My wife and I would take turns. I was there for 4 days and she was there for 3, and we would take turns taking care of the boys. But we were with her the whole time. And then after about 2.5 months, they had to do a third transplant. They found a liver, did the third transplant. And then 2 weeks later, she died.